The SEC wants to be the best at everything for the longest. Texas Tech's been one of the most consistent teams. They know who they are. Mark Williams is one of the top 3 to 5 big men in the country. You know it's bad when you shoot the same percentage that the company will match in your 401k.
Welcome to the Jboy Show, hosted by Jake Crane.
What's up, everybody? Hope you're having a great Monday. I know it's the start of the week. We're going to power through it together. Got a hell of a show for you today, joined, as I usually am, by my co-host David Cohn and Blaine Crane. Going to get you all the action that happened this weekend. Going to talk a lot of college basketball, and I want to start there with a certain university in a certain state that it continues to shock me to not watch them have success as a basketball program. I'm talking about Georgia, a team coming off a national championship in football. We've said many times on this show that per capita, the state of Georgia, I would put them up against any state, high school talent-wise, basketball, football, baseball, Quidditch too. Hell, just about any sport, you can go to Georgia and find somebody that can play at a very high level. And we talk about Texas struggling in football and the lack of consistent success recently and how it just shocks you. But not a lot of people are talking about the lack of consistent success or success in general for the University of Georgia in basketball. Tom Crean is on his way out. He has a 15-49 overall record in the SEC. His overall record in general isn't great, and he is joining a long list of coaches that have not done a good job, really outside of Mark Fox, the guy they probably would want back. After, we've seen Dennis Felton struggle. We know Jim Herrick was a hell of a coach, but Tom Crean, you go through the list. It continues to baffle me how Georgia struggles in basketball. Look at what Bruce Pearl and Auburn go in there and take every year. Look at the draft every year in the NBA. And it's not just Auburn. It's other schools. Hell, some of the best players in the SEC this year not only transferred from Georgia, but are from Georgia. And I'm not talking about the high school kids. But the scary part is eventually, just like anything, eventually they're going to get the right guy in there or make their mind up that they're going to go for broke. Tom Crean, I believe his buyout gets lowered on April 1st. He's a dead man walking. You might as well put him in the walking dead as an extra. They lose a tight one to Auburn, but they still lost. You're 6-17 this year. 6-17. It continues to baffle me. They went 14-12 during the COVID year. Still did nothing. Haven't been to the NCAA tournament since 2015. It blows my mind that Georgia's not been able to figure it out, but they will eventually. And there's one guy I think you got to take a run at. Rick Pitino. If you're serious about it. Now, will the SEC let him in? I think Georgia's got enough cachet to be able to do it. But if you just imagine, look at the coaches in the SEC right now. It's the best basketball conference in the country. Let me say that slower, because I predicted this when I started the show a year and a half ago. The SEC is the best conference in college basketball. And that's without Georgia doing much of anything. But if they bring in Rick Pitino, and you have Rick Pitino and Bruce Pearl and Rick Barnes, Nate Oates still has to prove himself a little bit in this league, but go down the list of coaches. Now, Frank Martin may be on his way out of South Carolina, a guy that I love, but he's struggled. They continue to struggle. Got mopped like they were a janitor this weekend at home against Tennessee. But at some point, Georgia's going to figure it out. You would at least think. We've had J.J. Frazier on the show. I've talked to a million guys in the know that are connected to Georgia basketball. Go take a shot at Rick Pitino. Go take a shot at Todd Golden out there at San Francisco doing his thing. Eventually, they will figure it out, and it'll make the SEC even better and even more dangerous. But until then, it's just been bad, and it shocks me. Can you? I mean, Georgia, or David, you're from Georgia. You're from Statesboro.
Exactly. And shout out to Rashad Wright, okay, one of Statesboro's finest, who did play at the University of Georgia and played for the Pacers. But since then, I don't understand it. It seems to me that the University of Georgia would never really have to recruit even outside of Atlanta.
They don't
Just
have
imagine
to.
if you made that your fence. Okay, or maybe even Savannah, Atlanta and Savannah.
Yeah.
You should be able to get enough talent in there. How cool would it be, though, if Rick Pitino took the Georgia job? Even if he only stayed there, say, 3 seasons, 5 seasons, even if that was all he stayed, he would at least build up the infrastructure for recruiting so they could put a wall around Atlanta. Because that's all you would have to do. It's about all that Bruce Pearl's doing right now.
Yeah, it is.
At Auburn.
And I don't buy the argument, but I'll get to you in a second. I don't buy the argument that the SEC would be like, listen, we're good right now. We don't want to ruffle any feathers. Look, the SEC wants to be the best at everything for the longest. The market in Georgia? You want to talk about showing up and watching games? You put Rick Pitino at Georgia, and listen, sometimes it takes the program being in a terrible place, the ship sinking, to go take a chance on a guy. If it was going good and maybe a coach left to go somewhere else, went from Georgia to Louisville or somewhere like that, or Georgia to Maryland, I could understand that. But Auburn was down in the dumps. Now, what Bruce Pearl and Rick Pitino did are two totally different things. Yeah. There's a lot more correlation between what Hugh Freeze did and Rick Pitino did as opposed to what Bruce Pearl and Rick Pitino did. But it took them being down in the depths. I'm talking about Davy Jones' locker. Talking about 6 feet under to be able to go get Bruce Pearl and say, we're going to take a shot on it. And it's not like Rick Pitino's out of coaching.
No.
He's coaching to Iona. They beat Bama.
That was my point, especially at the college level. If you're a head coach, we're talking about this with Hugh Freeze a little bit, either you did something so egregious that you should not be coaching at a college at all, or you didn't do something that egregious and you should be able to coach at any of them. Yeah. It's not this thing where he can coach at Iona but not in the SEC, or Hugh Freeze can go coach at Liberty but can't come to Auburn. Either you should not be leading young men on a university campus, or any university should be able to make a play at you.
I agree.
I just think Georgia needs the right face and a little bit of success. Or that's all.
Well, what is the right face, though?
Well, I mean, I can't pin it down right now, but you just got to find the guy.
Would Rick Pitino not be?
I believe in Rick Pitino. That'd be a great hire. You just need the right, because I mean, Georgia can get the guys, right? They can get the guys. I mean, you had Anthony Edwards, the first pick. I mean,
and you went what, 16
and 16, but you can get the guys just because of the sports and how much they love them. What other conference you hear Pac-12, Pac-12? It's the SEC.
But imagine having the best conference and then supercharging it with Rick Pitino.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'd be a great fit. When Georgia wants to decide to be good at basketball, they'll decide, right? They'll decide. Yeah, they have to go get the right guy, and they see a little bit of success early, just like Auburn. Sometimes you have sometimes you have to get lost to be able to find yourself.
Land of the lost?
Yeah, as a program. Sometimes you have to lose yourself to find yourself, just kind of what Auburn did. Auburn was down in the dumps. Yeah. Tony Barbie, it wasn't good.
No, it wasn't good.
It was bad, but they found the
worst Barbie ever
the right
made.
guy, and it takes time. It's basketball. It takes time. But you have to be patient, and a little success can go a long way.
Well, with the transfer portal, too, there'll be kids lining up to play for
the turnover can be easily fixed.
Very, very easily fixed. And again, they did almost beat Auburn, but listen, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. Yeah. But I want to get to some of these other matchups. It was a hell of a weekend for college football. Saturday was jam-packed from the start to the finish, from the tip to the final buzzer, including UCLA, and I know we're going to get to them. But give me, what was your favorite matchup of the weekend? What was your favorite game of the weekend, Tony?
Man, that's a good question. I really enjoyed watching Kansas and Baylor just because, like I told you last week, I just wanted to see, right? Because Baylor's been on a slide and Kansas got embarrassed at home by Kentucky. So I wanted to see who's going to stand up, and Kansas really did. I know you still don't really believe in Kansas, but I'll tell you what, and it may be, I mean, let's ask you, who does it say more about? Because Baylor is really slipping hard here.
Yeah, they are. And look, LJ Cryer was out, but Flagler was back. Kinjo played. Baylor last year, we talk about Baylor defensively, right? They're the python. They're going to squeeze you to death. They're the anaconda. They're just going to grab you and squeeze you. But Davion Mitchell and that group could hit threes. They could score at a very high clip. So not only were they locking you down on one side, they were scoring consistently on the other side. It looks so hard for them right now to create offense. Kendall Brown, I saw him hit a couple three-pointers. He still has to create off the bounce, which is tougher. Akinjo isn't hitting. Cryer's their three-point guy, their sniper. He didn't play. Matthew Meyer, I'll say it again. Yeah. Comes in, hits 2 shots, then puts the invisibility cloak on and disappears somewhere on Hogwarts campus. So to me, Baylor, it's a lot harder for Baylor to score. And Kansas playing at home, we knew they were pissed off. We talked about it last week. Getting embarrassed by Kentucky, who may be playing better than anybody in the country right now when you look at it, and we'll get to the Kentucky-Bama game. But Christian Brown, unbelievable game. Guy can play in transition. He can hit the three. He can orchestrate with the ball. And they have pieces. Abaji, we know he's an absolute freak. He's a guy that's on the Wooden Award watch list. Could win Player of the Year, even though I think it's going to go to Jboy. But Kansas, to me, I still question their physicality.
Okay.
I do. And look, Baylor's a physical team, but Baylor couldn't score. They couldn't put it in the bucket. Whether it was at the free throw line, whether it was from the two-pointer in, whether it was from mid-range, or whether it was three. But Baylor has no identity on offense. Cryer's out, I get it. But guys go out sometimes. But Flagler, Blaine,
I know.
He can't find it.
You know, Scott Drew said something that really kind of surprised me. They don't really have a vocal leader.
Yeah.
On that team, and you kind of can tell that by
Davion was the guy last year.
Davion was that guy in the huddle that voice was louder than anybody else's voice, and it's so hard to be a head coach and the vocal leader and the captain of a team, and that stuff kind of translates onto the court. And you can see not really a guy that they have that can take over like they had last year. They had 2 to 3 guys last year that when it came down to
when they needed a bucket,
and when they needed a bucket that they could go to. And you know, you see that roster, it's kind of all looking at each other, and no one really stepping up to take that lead role. And it doesn't matter how good you all are, if you don't have that pillar, that stone in your program that you can lean on, it can bleed onto the court.
And I want to make this point, then I want to move to the next game. It's a lot easier to play defense when shots are going in.
Sure.
And at one point, Baylor was down 34. 34. That's a ton. In a matchup between those two teams, that shocked me.
You don't go on a Final Four run after something
you. And even with Cryer coming back, how much confidence has been hit from Baylor? And it's a lot easier to play defense because basketball is one of the few sports you play offense and defense. Mm-hmm. Baseball's another one, right? You have some guys in football that go both ways, but typically that you may have a returner, that you have special teams. You have 3 different sides of the ball, even though some people in basketball consider out of bounds plays, free throws, special teams, which you could. But obviously the brunt of it is offensively and defensively. Baylor, to me, it's like me when I watch them on offense, it's like me looking at the science part of the ACT. It's the exact same thing. Just confused, out of whack. Should we even try? Do I feel like I've made a good enough one where I can just Christmas tree this thing the whole rest of the way? So that's something they've got to fix. Maybe Cryer coming back will give them a boost. Basketball, you can get hot, but I just don't think they have enough answers to the test.
Yeah, so I think, I think Kansas can use that win to really propel them into the NCAA tournament. But let's talk about Texas Tech.
Yeah.
I think they went on the road to
best
West
team in the Big 12.
Virginia, and you've been saying that's the best team in the Big 12. So after watching them go on the road, have a nice road win against West Virginia, and what Kansas did to Baylor, do you still stand behind Texas Tech?
Texas Tech's been one of the most consistent teams. They know who they are. They know who they are. And people will talk, Coach of the Year. Mark Adams has to be in the running for it. Yeah. Got to give it to Bruce Pearl right now. People will say Mark Few, but don't get me started on Gonzaga. Mark Adams, to me, a lot of those guys stayed because he got the job. And he was the architect now. He's the guy sitting in there with the from the Matrix with the 300 TVs and the white suit looking at your face on 93 different TVs telling you what you're going to say next. That's what Mark Adams is defensively. But when I watch Texas Tech, are they the most eloquent team on offense? Is they're more like a Jackson Pollock painting on offense than they are Andy Warhol. They're more kind of, they're physical. They make tough shots. They're going to drive and kick. They're going to get the and ones. But the way they communicate and how connected they are on defense. Yep. And it's not like they switch defenses all the time. But Texas Tech knows how they're going to play you. They actually remind me, not as much offensively, a little bit of Baylor last year. And that's what Texas Tech is hung their hat on, is defensively. But when I watch them, the way they play travels. Defense, defensive rebounding, travels. They'll have nights where they're hotter on offense. O'Bannon, the transfer from Oral Roberts, which, well-spoken, great, hilarious analogy there. But when I watch Texas Tech play, they know who they are. It's not a Pinocchio situation. I'm a real boy. Texas Tech, they're for real. I think they're the best team in the Big 12, and they're a team that you do not want to see in the NCAA tournament. It's not like they're going to forget. It's not like Drew Barrymore on 51st Dates. They're just going to wake up and wonder why you're hanging out with them. Yeah. Go get a pineapple from somewhere. But Texas Tech, to me, has what it takes to translate to a team that's playing in the Final Four, or can make the Final Four and win a national championship. Because if the shots are falling, they are dangerous. They are Liam Neeson when you take one of his kids. Like, that's how dangerous they are.
Some of these conference championships are going to be real interesting.
Oh, man.
We're going to know a little bit more. Coach K and the Duke Blue Devils absolutely dominated in his final trip to Chapel Hill. They seem to have the necessary pieces to win it all this year.
Yeah, well, look, Mark Williams, and Griffin's a sniper.
Yeah.
But Mark Williams is one of the top 3 to 5 big men in the country. And if you look around college basketball, there may be 5 to 7 teams that have big men that are super effective. You know, you can talk Walker Kessler. We can talk Jboy.
Coburn.
Kofi at Illinois. You look at Purdue. They got 2 of them. You know, they went and grabbed, one of them from Siberia in a cave somewhere. The Zach Edey kid is an absolute monster.
Special forces.
He was great in Where the Wild Things Are. But when I look at Duke, and Joey Baker, we know they have talented players. Well, Duke will always have talented players. I wonder more about North Carolina's defense a little bit, because in their losses, I mean, they've had, I think 7 out of their 8 losses were by 20 points. When they lose, they're getting murdered. And defense, North Carolina scoring, they have guys that can score. Baycott down low, we know he's a good player, but Duke just overwhelmed them.
Yeah.
They jumped out, they jumped them. They walked around the corner and they jumped them. And North Carolina made a little run. They got it back within, I think, 13. But Duke was just the much better team. But Mark Williams' ability to not only dominate around the rim, but be able to condense guys on defense enough to kick it out, to have help hitting threes. And you can go down the list. So we can list all the great players and the 5 stars from Duke. But I wonder how much of it, too, was it being Coach K's last game in the Dean Dome. That had to be a little bit. Not saying that North Carolina didn't play hard, but I don't think Duke going in there, I don't think they were losing that game.
No, I thought UNC would put up a tough
Well, I think the UNC, the big games, they lost by a big margin. They got out rebounded.
Yeah.
Like Tennessee, when they ran it by 17, they got out rebounded.
Well, outside of Baycott, who else does really North Carolina have down low?
Duke out rebounded North Carolina 40-24.
Yeah, Mannix doesn't scare you on the boards.
No.
He's a trailer 5.
And Love wasn't
4, excuse me.
Love wasn't hit. And when the thing about it, a lot of teams, when you're not shooting, and it goes back to the bigs, you were talking about the 5 to 7 bigs that you have in this league, when you're not hitting from the outside and you don't have a presence down low, there's not a lot you can do unless you play extremely good defense like Texas Tech when you're all swimming in the same direction.
You have to be able to win in multiple ways.
And that's why Texas Tech and Illinois, in my opinion, is a dangerous team too.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. I mean, Frazier, you go to, the way when they're shooting, when they're hot, Curbelo coming in off the bench.
They're a problem.
They're a problem. Well, anytime you have Kofi, you always have an answer.
Yes.
Right. You always, it's like having a run game in football. Sometimes the pass game isn't great, but if you can line up and say, you know what, we can get 4 to 5, we can hit some big runs and keep you honest. We can walk those safeties up and start taking shots. To me, Duke is going to be there. It's more of, I think it says more about North Carolina than it does about Duke. I mean, look, you look at North Carolina's resume. I know they went on a win streak. Did they beat a bunch of great teams? Not really. How good really is the ACC? But Duke just overwhelmed them from the start to the finish, and I think they'll do it again when they meet again.
So let's dissect this Georgia-Auburn game a little bit more. We were tough on Georgia earlier here, but they did play the number 1 team in the country down to the final basket, okay? And Jabari Smith just didn't get enough touches.
No.
Right? I mean,
or Walker Kessler.
Didn't get enough touches.
You had
the ball.
And we've got a clip of Wendell Green making what ended up being the game-winning shot. I'm going to get to that in a second. But you have Wendell Green and KD Johnson combining for 39 shots.
Wow.
And you had Walker Kessler and Jabari combining for how many, Blaine?
14, 7.
Unacceptable.
Unacceptable. And the one thing I don't understand is the matchup base. You look at Georgia, Braylon Bridges is 6'10". That's the tallest guy on the roster.
He's as tall as Jabari.
Tallest guy on the roster. You have Walker Kessler, who's 7'1", with, I don't know his wingspan, maybe 10'7", I don't know. But he's an absolute tree. And you go back and watch that game, name me one time where they kind of isolated Walker in the post and fed him the ball.
You know that it happened one time on an out-of-bounds play.
Yeah, and
right before the half. All he did was take it in and dunk it. They gave it to him one more time, I think, on the elbow, or there's one time he got it at the perimeter and drove it in and just laid it in. Georgia had no answer. Auburn played right, and the funny part was, when Auburn was hitting in the first half, they were still up 12 without getting it to him.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like Walker was in foul trouble, but it was a hell of a game. We're going to show you how it ended. Some people think this is a block. Some people think this is a charge. If you can tell me what a block and a charge is and tell me what a catch in basketball is, or what a catch in football is, then please, I'll vote for you when you run for president. But here we go, Wendell Green, as time's running out here. Let's roll the clip. See, feet don't look set to me. Gonna get the rebound, gonna put it back up. Georgia had 3.3 seconds. Auburn ended up sliding out of there. They were down by 3. If you can see the spin here, put them in the blender. It's always a delicious smoothie. And Auburn ended up winning the game. But Auburn, we seen them struggle on the road at Missouri, but you won. Saw them struggle in the second half on the road against Georgia, but you won. The biggest worry for me is, outside of Jabari and Walker getting their shots, and really Jabari getting his, and letting Walker kind of play in space underneath, is that they keep blowing big leads.
Yeah,
they beat Alabama 100-81. They were drubbing Alabama and let them come back and get it within 3. That's what scares you during the tournament. You have to be able to bury people. And you're 22-1. You're the number 1 team in the country. There's always room for improvement, Blaine. Are you worried a little bit about this Auburn team when it comes tournament time giving up leads, or maybe relaxing a little bit once they get up?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm more worried about Jabari Smith kind of disappearing in games.
Yeah, well, they got to give him the ball.
Especially in the tournament, that can't happen.
No.
That you found from Georgia where, Katie Johnson-Wendell shot over 38 times and Jabari shot the ball 7 times. It can't happen in the tournament because you play a team that's hitting, you could get exited early from that tournament. So I think Jabari, if you put Katie Johnson's mentality in Jabari, it'd be absolutely freaky.
Yeah, it wouldn't be fair.
It'd be freaky. I think Jabari is still growing, but I think Bruce Pearl needs to make it a fact, make it known that Jabari, you have to shoot the ball at least 12 to 15 times a game. You have a chance to be the number 1 pick in the NBA draft. You can't disappear on this team. I know they have depth and everything, but I don't think this team is good enough for Jabari Smith to disappear and make a deep run into the tournament.
Cone, how much do you think Katie Johnson shooting that many shots had to do with him transferring from Georgia and going back?
It had to, right? What did you say? He went 1 for 8 from
3
or something like that? I mean, look, obviously there are a lot of emotions. I never transferred from a school, but if I had, I'd want to see him at their place the following year.
For sure.
And we were talking about earlier, he's had a lot of practice in that gym, right?
Yeah.
I thought he might
Wasn't
go
his
8,
first rodeo
I thought he might go
shooting in
8 for
that
8. But I agree a little bit. Look, I agree that Jabari Smith needs to go get the ball, right? I mean, yes, I get your point, Jake, that the point guard has to give him the ball. But, guys like Michael Jordan didn't run point either. They're going to go get the ball. Now, he's still young, right? Maybe he does it. Maybe he's being instructed by Bruce Pearl, hey, let the game come to you a little bit. We have a lot of really good pieces on this team, and it hasn't really hit that time yet where we have to just play the 5 most important guys, right? He's tried to play a lot of guys, but I think it's time now. And like you said, they've won these games. The only loss is a double overtime loss out of the country to UConn. So look, it's not like panic mode or anything, but down the stretch like that, get your best player the ball.
Yeah, you have to. You got to feed the beast. It's pretty simple. A team that really is struggling right now, lost 2 in their trip to the Arizonas, is UCLA. And look, going to play Arizona, y'all beat them up pretty good at your place. I can understand that. I watched the Arizona State game. Made a lot of money betting on the Arizona State game, especially when they went into 7 overtimes. Yeah. But when I look at UCLA, I know they made the run last year. Tiger Campbell, love his game. Johnny Juzang either has to be dominant or they have to find a way to have more of a post presence. Jaquez, I know, hits tough mid-range shots. He's a tough kid. Riley, to me, isn't a very good player. I don't know another way to put it. But UCLA doesn't have a post presence. I could see UCLA getting bounced early in the tournament if they run into a team, even if it's a mid-major that has a big guy that's a problem and Johnny Juzang isn't hitting. I'm not 100% sold on UCLA. I know I talked last week about, I still think they're one of the favorites to win the Pac-12. It wouldn't shock me if they won it. But now seeing them, and look, Arizona State's a tough place to play. Arizona State's going to host Arizona tonight. They're a 12-point underdog. I took Arizona State plus 12, I'll go and tell you. But how worried, and either one of you guys, how worried right now if you're UCLA and you're Mick Cronin, are you too guard reliant? Do you not have enough presence in the post?
It's the Alabama problem.
Yeah.
Right? Like you said, they're too guard heavy right now. But what bothers me a little bit is last night, like you said, Jaquez still had 27, Juzang still had 20, and Tiger Campbell had 13. 27, 20, and 13. If you had told me that those 3 would combine for that amount of points, I would say they would have beaten almost anyone, especially Arizona State, right? So, like you said, going to Arizona after you've already beat them up at your place, I got it. And Juzang didn't have a good game. Recipe for a loss for sure. But Arizona State, your guards combined for that. So I don't know. Maybe it is, because it's like what we said with Shackelford and Quinterly, and we're going to get to that. Sometimes they go off for 30 a night and the game's still tight.
Well, Blaine, and I agree. I mean, it's not like Arizona State has dominant big men. I mean, Jalen Graham was a huge piece down towards the end of that game, but he's not a dominant big. Arizona State, played above their weight in that game, which sometimes you expect on the road. But I'm talking about when you get to the NCAA tournament and you run into, a Northern Iowa or somebody that has that redwood from, Uzbekistan that's going to grab 20 boards, at what point, do you worry if you're UCLA? Because the shots aren't going to fall every game.
And they haven't been falling lately. You go back to their loss. I mean, they've shot 5 for 22 from 3. Then in the Arizona loss, they shot 3 from 14 from 3. So at the end of the day, you got to decide who you are. You have to have an identity in basketball. You're not playing great defense.
No.
Right? You're not shooting the ball well, right? And you don't have a dominant inside presence. So if you're UCLA, I'm worried. I'm legitimately worried. Because we either got to start shooting the ball better or start playing better defense.
Yeah.
Or
Something's got to give.
You're going to run into somebody.
Yeah.
Right? Who's hot? Right? Now, who's shooting the ball well, may not have a true big or something like that. But sooner or later, you have to decide either you're a shooting team or you got to play defense because you're not going to win on the boards.
Yeah, that's true. You got to be balanced.
Speaking of shooting teams, let's go to Bama, Kentucky. I think Alabama went 3 for 30 from 3.
Yeah.
3 for 30.
10%.
And we thought what Wisconsin did last week was bad.
Yeah, Wisconsin was 12%.
Well, it's bad when you shoot the same percentage that the company will match in your 401k. That's when you know it's bad. Look, we talked about J.D. Davison. I get it. He's a young guy. They hyped this guy up. He has struggled mightily. I think he was minus 23 in the plus-minus again this game, and they played him a lot. Nate played him a lot. But if you would have told me...
Start with 30-30.
Yeah. If you would have told... Yeah, it's a 30 for 30. If you would have told me that Charles Bediako, and I know Shackelford was sick, but would have a better game
led the team
than Shackelford,
in points.
I would have called the Arkham Asylum and had them drive the van down here, put you in a straitjacket, and get you help.
Led the team in points.
Alabama out-rebounded Kentucky.
That's the craziest part. This game was like the upside down and Stranger
Things. They out-rebounded. It's like a 30 for 30. What if I told you?
Yeah.
Charles Bediako led in points against maybe the National Player of the Year.
Jboy.
And out-rebounded Kentucky and still lost.
This was one of Jboy, and he's consistent. This was one of Jboy's, you could say, worst games, but if you look at East, still had a double-double. He had
10 and 15.
10 and 15. But that's not typically Oscar, and we thought Oscar may get like 24 and 20.
Yeah, I thought this might be one
of those games. And early, Bama came out. They were punching them. They hit a couple threes. But when you play that style, and you can't lean on Bediako, you have Rojas putting up a ton of threes. He was one of the few guys that made one, but he also had 3 of the worst misses, I've seen in a while. So, Cone, this Alabama team, they've slayed a lot of dragons, but they've also gotten slayed by a lot of people from the Shire. So, when you look at this Alabama team that's now 4-6 in the SEC, and I get it, they're still projected 5 seed or a 6 seed or Johnny Appleseed or whatever the hell it is, but this team, just the lack of consistency and in front of a home crowd, and Kentucky's playing as good as anybody. Kentucky's playing as good as anybody. This is a complete team game. Watching Kentucky win without Grady shooting a ton of threes and making is scary as hell if you're outside of it.
4 or 5 starters in double digits.
4 or 5 starters. Kentucky playing as a team is scary as hell. We know how talented they are. We know Jacob Toppin is a freak athlete. We know Keon Brooks has been going absolutely dummy, like the things they put in cars when they're testing when they crash them. But how worried are you about Alabama 4-6 in the SEC, going on the road to face an Ole Miss team? I know Deshaun Ruffin tore his ACL, but they play really good in the new Tad Pad.
Well, I've told you I've been worried about them.
Yeah.
Because like I said last week, Shackelford and Quinterly can't continue to have those types of games. I mean, 25, 27, 29, each. Every single night they were doing. It's just not sustainable. And then at home this weekend, when we found out like they couldn't put up that many points, finally they get help from the rest of the team. You have to have that plus them be on. Kind of what we were saying with UCLA. Like all those guys need to be on, and you need to somehow discover some post presence, or you're not going to beat teams like Kentucky even at home.
I feel like Kentucky, like the piece for Kentucky that stands out the most for me, that kind of almost solidifies Davion Mintz, the senior.
When he's hot, giving depth off the bench.
He's playing good. When he's running, he's shooting well. That team just flows better. Mm-hmm. They move better. They seem more connected, right? And he's a senior. You got a little leadership in there. And we know when you get out of Wheeler, he's not going to score.
He played his role, though.
He does what he's supposed to.
That's what he's supposed to do. He's not a guy that needs to be shooting the ball 15 times a night at the point. He needs to be running it. They need to be running their ghost screens. They need to be running their sets to get it to Kellen Grady, who Bama shut down. But look, Alabama's not going to shoot 3 for 30 every night. Nate Oates, the way they practice, the amount of threes that they take. But you're really starting to worry because if you look at that schedule for Bama, and again, the resume, they're probably still going to get in the tournament even if they drop a couple more. But you go lose to Ole Miss, then you get Arkansas at home, then you go to Kentucky. It could start to snowball. Darius Miles suspended, probably coming back. Keon Ellis continues to be on the back of a milk carton. So for somebody from Alabama, and it's not just one person, somebody outside, and I know Shaq had a bad game this game because, he was sick, I understand that. But somebody outside of them's got to really start stepping up. J.D. Davidson, to me, he's a liability with the ball.
Nope, I wouldn't put him in at this point.
You're almost running out of options, though. He's turning the ball over at a crazy clip. I know he made a 3 at the end and made the shot at the end, but this was a guy you thought you were going to lean on. Supposed to be the guy. Supposed to be the guy, and he's not.
Yeah.
I don't know who's a bigger bust, him or Buster Posey.
All right, so do you want to move on to Mailbag
Let's
Monday?
go Mailbag
Monday.
Mailbag.
Got some questions from the fans over the weekend.
Yeah,
Blaine,
we did. A lot of honesty, a lot of passion.
I love it. The emotions. I know we brought Liam Neeson up earlier. Can we just admit that he's a bad parent? Your daughter got taken 3 times.
Yeah, exactly. Every movie they come out,
really
somebody's getting taken. Are you going to watch the kids? Why don't you get some security? Put a ring on the door. Figure it out.
First question, Mailbag Monday. We are 3 days removed from news breaking that Brian Harsin may be in trouble at Auburn. Is he in a better or worse position today to remain the head coach on the Plains?
I'll go back to what I said because there's not really been anything coming out that's concrete. Yeah. I know that the Auburn administration put out a statement today that was like, hey, we're still thinking about it. They said it doesn't matter what you post on social media or media headlines, we're going to make our decision. Brian Harsin in Cabo or wherever he is right now, sitting there and looking both ways and probably going, well, I return as Auburn head coach, I'm going to be a millionaire. If I don't, I'm going to be even more of a millionaire, depending on how it goes down. But I just wonder, how do you survive? If you're Brian Harsin or if you're anybody that has a job, would you want to go back to this relationship? We talked about Jim Harbaugh, right? I'll never do it again, honey. It almost to me is too far gone. On one hand,
feels like
to me, if they were going to keep you after this backlash, they'd have probably already said, we're going to keep you. It doesn't take, this isn't the Warren Commission. It doesn't take this long to figure this out. Not that it really should have taken them that long. But when I look at this situation, the optics are awful. Let's say they keep him. What offensive coordinator's going to want to come in that's worth his salt and say, you know what? Auburn seems stable. And if you're Brian Harsin, how can you trust anybody again? I think this has been handled poorly. Mm-hmm. I don't understand, outside of a firing for cause, which I haven't seen any evidence of that. I don't know if they're still digging that hole up like Shia LaBeouf. But at what point is it too far gone? At what point? I think we've reached that point.
Yeah. It's extremely toxic on the Plains.
It's toxic right now.
And if you're a coach, including Brian Harsin, why would you even want to put yourself in that position? Because you think about longevity, especially at a place like Auburn right now, it doesn't seem like there's a lot there because one mistake, one big game loss, right? They're at your head.
Yeah, well,
at your head.
A lot of people are comparing it to Jetgate with Tommy Tuberville. Those are two totally different situations. Tuberville had a bigger sample size. And they caught you going on the plane to go get Petrino. That's not what happened here. Nobody was caught on a plane. They're started getting stuff leaked out. Mm-hmm. Horrible stuff. Accusations. I'm not even going to get into that until, and you're innocent until proven guilty in this country, last time I checked. Mm-hmm. And rumors and innuendo and this, that, and the other, I'm not going to give it any credence. But to me, it seems like they'd already made their decision. It was just how it was going to go down and how you saved the most money.
Yeah.
They're building the parachute on the way down. How do you do it the most efficiently, the quickest? And I'm a firm believer you got to give a guy, with the transfer portal now, I guess you could say 2 years, but this has just been handled so poorly in the public eye that if I'm Brian Harsin, they're like, you know what? We screwed up.
Gotcha.
Screw you. I don't know why you'd want to come back to this problem.
Yeah, the fans can look past a losing season in your first year, especially when you have to reestablish a culture, right? Yeah. When you're trying to change things like that. So they can look past that, but you can't combine a losing season and controversy.
Yeah.
You need to be buttoned up.
Yeah.
Now we don't know all the details that are happening, but still, it's a developing story. We'll keep.
All right. Question number 2. Which players from this past weekend Senior Bowl raised their draft stock the most?
Told y'all Malik Willis. The
kid's the truth.
He's nice. No, there's no lying about Malik. He's the truth. His arm strength, we can talk about that. His escapability, we can talk about that. What I heard from guys that I'm connected to down there, they said his leadership and the way the guys gravitated toward him was maybe the best of any player.
Really?
And that's you can't teach that. You can't teach that. Getting guys together when you play that position at any level, but at that high of a level, getting the other guys that are elite players, because everybody in the NFL is good. Everybody in the NFL is good. Getting those guys to believe in you, to believe you're the conductor, to believe you're the captain of the ship and follow you, especially in just a weak setting that guys really don't know each other. That to me tells a lot about Malik Willis. Another guy, Zion Johnson, the guard/center from Boston College. They said he may have been the best player there. Do you know how hard it is for them to be like, you're the best player there, and you play guard, and we're not talking about basketball?
At guard.
At guard or center?
You're good.
Yeah, you're locking guys up like it's Azkaban. So Zion Johnson from Boston College. Wouldn't it be a guy from Boston College or Iowa? It's always that guy, right? So Zion had a really good week. Kenny Pickett, I know he bounced back Thursday. It's questions about his hand size.
Burger King
Kenny, I think Kenny may be a little bit overrated, just a little bit.
Fakes like
but look, Bailey Zapp.
I was going to say Bailey Zapp.
Yeah, Bailey Zapp from Western Kentucky.
I think he had the most passing
Zappados.
yards in this game.
See if you guys could.
Hey, I got one. Boye Mafe from Minnesota.
Yeah.
The D end.
And Jermaine Johnson, those two.
Three tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and 1 fumble.
Yeah.
On Saturday.
And
that's called having a day.
Does the game matter as much as the practices? No, but if you can go out there and put up numbers in the game, they're going to see it. But Jermaine Johnson, hell, he did so good during the week. It looks like his agent was like on Thursday, be like, take a day. I've talked to all these teams. They love you. Shut it down. I don't know, you coughing a little bit? Is that ankle is a little bit sore? Take a day. So, look, the Senior Bowl, a lot of guys can go up. A lot of guys can go down. We're going to continue to talk about risers and fallers throughout the week. But, Zion Johnson, Malik Willis, Moffitt, as you brought up, Jermaine Johnson, just a lot of guys that went down there and took advantage. Because there's some guys won't go down there and play in it and wait for the combine and this, that, and the other. But some guys go down there and take advantage. It's always good to see young men go down there and take advantage of it.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Miami has hired offensive coordinator Josh Gaddis away from the University of Michigan. Is this a big win for Mario and the Canes?
It is. It is. Josh a hell of a coach. No, is he the best I've seen in the world? No. But I think what it shows you is that these guys believe in Mario. They want to work for Mario. And Miami, all they need is a spark. They're solidified. Miami is a brand of its own. Now you've got money behind you with the billionaire building the new stadium and the NIL. You bring in Mario Cristobal. He's bringing in Josh Gaddis. You bring in Kevin Steele as a DC. Kevin Steele.
Kevin get the job done.
He's great. So Miami has a lot of positive momentum. Did a good job finishing up recruiting. Mario cleaned up where he could clean up. Still interested to see how they handle the transfer portal. But I would not be shocked. Because look, the ACC, fellas, I know Clemson's going to be good. Wake, we know Hartman's coming back.
Dangerous.
But the ACC is still up for grabs. Miami, a little bit of momentum. And I'm watching this race between Miami and Florida State. You could say 4-2 with Billy, but they're in the SEC. This race between Miami and Florida State, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Miami just jump ahead a little bit with Mario because they're going to be tough as hell. Yeah. I promise you. With the way his teams take on his personality, and Miami's already got the swag, and he knows he played there. That's Mama, right? Talk about Mama for Deion Sanders. That's Mama for Mario Cristobal. He knows where to go. That name carries weight. He gets it. He knows what it takes to get the U back to where they need to be.
This is a good hire for the Miami Hurricanes. I mean, Broyles Award winner this past season, and you're just starting to build up your program. I think they can take the lead in the state of Florida. However, I simultaneously don't think this is a huge loss for Michigan. Can both those things be true at once?
What do we say all the time? Two things can be true.
I know. I think it is a good pickup for Miami for where they are, and I don't think it's a huge loss for Michigan. I mean, look, the identity of that offense is still going to be Jim Harbaugh's, or so we think, until he takes the Lions job next week. Right? Still going to be his. I just think that Michigan, the bigger problem for them is not having a coordinator on either side of the ball right now, more so than you lost Josh Gaddis, right? Yeah. Josh Gaddis didn't call plays before he got to Michigan, okay? It really was a train wreck the first 2 years, honestly, okay? So this past season, it was excellent. He got creative, not creative enough, in my opinion, when they played Georgia in the bowl game.
I agree.
But still, had a good season. But it wasn't great the first 2 years that he was calling plays there. So I still think that Jim Harbaugh can get someone in there to be the OC, to run under his identity, and maybe we won't line up in the shotgun on 4th and 1.
Yeah, that's my why didn't Harbaugh just call the plays?
That's the thing.
I don't call the play.
And if you don't, and look, my theory on that is if you don't want to do that because now you want to delegate down and be the head coach, fine, but whoever you delegate to needs to do it better than you did it because that's what you got hired to do, and you were doing it in San Francisco. Now, look, I know a lot of guys, I played with a lot of guys at Michigan who are now in coaching who are going to jump at that OC job, okay? Mike Hart, Nick Sheridan, a lot of great guys are vying for that opportunity, okay? And if one of them gets it, I hope that they have a ton of success. And I think that one of them could. I think that whoever Michigan gets in there to be their OC can have as much or more success than Josh Gaddis, even though this past year was a lot of fun, and even though I do think it is a good hire for what Cristobal is trying to do right off the bat, I just don't see it as a huge loss for Michigan.
Yeah, well, like I said, sometimes a fresh start, the Febreze brothers up in here is good. And I don't see this as a huge blow to Michigan. I think it's a big gain for Miami, but I don't think Michigan is dead to rights by any stretch of the imagination offensively. And I'll be interested to see what kind of flavor ice cream of offense Jim Harbaugh brings in to replace Josh Gaddis, because you always have to be evolving, but there's an overall mentality and an overall identity that I think Jim Harbaugh wants to bring.
Last thing I'll say about it on Josh Gaddis texting the players at Michigan and leaving. I don't have the quote right in front of me, but it was slightly unprofessional. No matter what happened with administration, no matter what your true feelings are, just say thank you for the opportunity. Like I said, you weren't some play calling OC before you got to Michigan. Just thank Jim Harbaugh for the opportunity to call plays at Michigan. Thank your players. If you're secretly trying to poach them behind the scenes to get them to transfer to Miami, so be it. But publicly.
Yeah, and if the audience doesn't know, Josh Gaddis, sent a text out saying, I felt like basically I wasn't wanted.
By the administration, not Jim Harbaugh necessarily.
By the administration. But the kids, why would they need to know that?
Yeah.
Why would they need to know? I can understand if you're saying, guys, I'm leaving. This is just players would much rather you look at them and say, you know what? I'm leaving because this is what I feel the best opportunity for me and my family. Yeah. You guys understand. You guys know I care about you and I love you guys. But for me and my family, just like when you may already have a family, but when you have a family one day, and they're leaning on you, and you have to make decisions, and you have to do what you think is best, they'll respect you.
Sure. Real recognize real.
Real recognize real.
It's a real thing.
At the end of the day. And last thing I'll say, Blaine.
Come
on Mario bringing these guys into Miami, one ring to rule them all, and then darkness shall bind them.
That never gets old saying.
It never just
doesn't. All right. Neither Auburn nor Michigan have coordinators on either side of the ball right now. You guys are uniquely qualified to discuss these programs. Which one will have more success over the next 3 seasons?
I mean, you got to say Michigan right now. Hell, talk about coordinators. You don't know if Auburn has a head coach.
Yeah.
That's an easy answer. I'll go Michigan all day on that.
Yeah, I agree. I would say Michigan.
Just
because you're not in the SEC.
Like I said,
that helps too.
Jim Harbaugh will be the head coach at Detroit Lions next year.
He'll be.
He's there forever, David.
Look, Toronto Bombers.
Spring practice is right around the corner. You probably need some coordinators at the program.
But guys, what are we going to run on offense?
Just be the OC too.
Oh, wait, we didn't hire him yet.
You run out there and I'll throw it.
What if he walked in the 80s like, you want to know how to save money? I'll be the head coach and the OC. Let's save money.
Why not?
Why not?
He just puts a mustache on.
It's like, this is my brother, Liam Harbaugh.
Yes, the third one. All right.
He's a good parent, though.
Last one. Is the Bengals defense good enough to contain the Rams offense?
Not long enough. Not long enough. The only way that the Bengals are going to be able to block the Rams up front is if they hire Mark Zuckerberg. It's the only way.
Bengals defense. Can the Bengals defense?
No, but I'm not.
Rams offense.
Look, it goes hand in hand.
Okay.
I don't think the Bengals. What are we talking about? Corralling the Rams offense? What, giving up 24 or less? If the Rams score 24 points, they're going to win.
You think so?
I just don't know. Look, football's different. This isn't basketball. Can't get LeBron and go in there and just, win a one-off because you got the best player. Baseball, guy throwing 103, with a slider, nasty pitcher, can control the game single-handedly. Catcher, catch the ball. That's in the name of your position. In football, it doesn't work like that. Joe Burrow is amazing. He's amazing. Joey Franchise, Joey Burr, Joey Ballgame. We can go down the list. Jamar Chase, alien. 100% alien. He just has to hope not to get neuralized before the game by the guys from Men in Black. But if you can't protect, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The Bengals' offensive line, I said this the other day, is held together with bubble gum and rubber bands. And the Rams are walking out of there with Aaron Donald and Von Miller. Let me go down the list. Let's play a game called You're Screwed.
Yeah.
I just don't see over the long run. I can feel the face that Blaine is making.
I mean, you're not
wrong. His love
wrong.
for Joe Burrow is only surpassed by his love for his opinions.
Look, it's close. All right, let me tell you what the captain of the Bengals defense, Sam Hubbard.
I know where you're going with
Sam Hubbard came out.
I know where you're going with
I got a
this.
couple things.
I know where you're going
Came
with
out and said that they're winning the Super Bowl for Harambe, our fallen brother in 2016.
R.I.P. Harambe.
Let me tell you what the Kingslayer Joey B.
The Kingslayer.
Has-
Who is
Hold
he
on.
played?
Hold on.
You keep calling
Hold on.
that. Who is he played?
Hold on.
Derek Carr?
First of all, he's going to be the only quarterback.
Derek
to
Carr's
win
more the court
the
jester
national
than he is the
championship,
game.
Heisman, and the Super Bowl. He's a winner. He's a winner wherever he goes.
But he's
winning in
Kingslayer.
fashion. Probably winning in music. He's winning in dancing. He's gone through Derek Carr. The Raiders are playing extremely good.
Wow.
He's been a dog the entire playoffs. They've been
Joe
dogs
Burrow
the
is
entire
a dog.
playoffs.
I'm not disputing
Gone
that.
through
He's not a
Ryan
Kingslayer.
Tannehill. They're playing good.
Oh, Ryan Tannehill.
Derrick Henry was back.
Future Hall of Fame.
Derrick Henry was back.
He couldn't pass a math test
was
in a
back.
second grade classroom.
They beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
More importantly, they beat
Jackson Mahomes and Brittany Matthews, too.
Yeah. God, I'm so glad I don't
Taking
have to
them
look at that
down.
anymore.
It's Joey B. If it's me, all right? If it's me, you're going to have struggle blocking them up front. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows
That's
that.
kind of a big
T. Higgins, let's have a huge game.
He
Had
better.
have over 100 yards versus the Chiefs. He was huge, all right? Joe Mixon, spitting it out of the backfield, right? Been doing it all year. I'm not going to bet against a team, first of all, that's been.
Oh, you're making your pick right now?
No, I'm not. No,
We
I'm
got
not.
a whole week of this.
Wait, we
I know.
got a
I'm
whole
just saying.
week.
A whole week.
Well, y'all know where I stand. I've
Well, I'd
standing
rather
since
say
day
both
one. That's
of them.
fine. That's fine. I mean, that's fine.
I know where you stand.
I'm not betting against Joey B, the hero to us all. Sam Hubbard, who's doing it for Harambe.
Quote Dennis Green, if you want to crown him, crown him. If you want to crown
I will
him,
crown him. He deserves it.
We'll say I can't wait.
He
I can't wait
deserves
for
it.
picks. They're
Thank
gonna
you,
come back
Joey.
Like Jordan.
Thank you for what you do for the league. Love the glasses and the fashion. Keep it up, baby.
We'll see. I'm a huge Joe Burrow fan.
Doesn't sound like it.
Yeah. Great segment. Let's you want to move on? You want to go to Around the World?
Well,
Around the world.
we can go to Around the World. That's good. Yeah. Who's up first on Around the World?
You guys go this
Okay.
time. I want
All right. I'm going to Formula 1. Formula 1.
What did you guys invent? Pizza, Italy, French fries. It's a French.
I'm going to Formula 1, fellas. Lewis Hamilton, okay, the 7-time world champion driver for Mercedes-Benz, okay, has returned to social media. Now, I get it. This is not TMZ. Normally, I wouldn't care. But after last month's controversial loss in the championship to Red Bull's Max Verstappen, who got his first championship. Max
a nail-biter.
Verstappen.
I thought you said Matthew Stafford. I was like, he's doing both.
He's doing everything.
Max Verstappen, but maybe that's his brother. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be.
Also, you should check out the Drive to Survive on Netflix.
Okay, that is.
I've actually watched a couple episodes. Not
Okay,
bad.
listen. There was talk that Lewis Hamilton was so upset, the controversial ending, that he was going to be done racing. Obviously, we don't
Get off
believe
the
that.
court.
We don't believe that.
Get off the court. Maybe your mom didn't go to
champion's
heaven,
going to
Jack.
come back and fight. But he's
right.
back on social media. He says, I'm back. Welcome back. Not quite as frustrated anymore. Let's see if he drives this season. Drive to Survive.
Drive to Survive. I like it. I like it. What do you got?
All right, I got Steph Curry. Excuse me. Caitlin
Yeah.
Clark,
Dude, she
for Iowa.
hitting NBA jam.
She went 46-10. I'm talking pulling from the logo.
Yeah.
Almost half court.
I thought they were gonna
step
give her a
back
copyright
double
violation.
teams. This girl was barely hitting the net.
Yeah.
It was disgusting. Shout out to Caitlin Clark. I know y'all lost. I think it was 98-90.
Michigan.
But girl,
Yeah.
keep it up.
shoot-
You're a
shooter.
you're a stud. She's in her bag.
She's in her bag like
for her.
Santa Claus.
I love it.
46.
46 and 10.
Here's what
10
I got
assists
for
too.
you. Never did I think in a million years when I started this that I would be talking about figure skating. But it's around the world, and we're going to the Olympics, or at least they said it's on. Russian figure skater Kamila Valieva, I feel like I said that right, completed the first quadruple jump. I couldn't do that on a trampoline, which means she jumped out of the air, I think I'm right here, spun 4 times, and landed on skates. First one ever. I think she's like 15 years old, too, or something like that.
Oh, goodness.
It's the greatest figure skating move I've seen since, I think it was the 2010 World Winter Games where Chaz Michaels and Jimmy McElroy pulled off the band Flying Lotus to win it. And we all know how that turned out.
It was perfect.
And again, it was beautiful to see. Again, congratulations to her. I don't know how you do that. I don't even know how you practice for that. Like when I watch the Olympics, I'm watching the snowboarders like do all this. How do you practice for that?
That's a good point.
How do you get good at that?
I
actually saw a video of inside. It's like a huge treadmill that they spin side to side on. Like you're flying. Like you're rolling. Like they spin side to side on those rails on each side that they grab. It's the scariest thing.
But it's got to be so different when you go from all right, I'm on the treadmill, and you're just like, look at the jump. It's like, you jump. I don't know. It's amazing to me. Those people are amazing to me. That's the Around the World. Great show again today, guys. Shout out to the Booster Club, the greatest grassroots movement since biology. I think we can agree.
Let's go, Joey B.
Let's go. Yeah.
Let's go, Joey B.
Appreciate you guys. And like Joey B's playoff run, they play in the Super Bowl. Till tomorrow, we're gone.